when should I learn the match equity table, even though I don't want to? Or is it okay to keep avoiding it? And if so, what kind of intuition should I develop so I can play fair enough without knowing the match equity table?
It's a good question. Because intuition is very important also it's always at play, I feel, in backgammon. We play a lot with intuition. And it's funny you ask this question because I realize that there's a couple of grandmasters who have, no concept of tables or equity or, so that there is, a way to refine your intuition and get somewhere anyway and become a very strong player anyway. Tim Cross, for instance, I know just has got no interest at all into setting up tables and comparing and knowing all these equities numbers. It's not his thing, but he's a grandmaster, so there definitely must be ways. Pip count for me seems really crucial. It's really something that is going to be the one decision point. It's going to be the decider in some positions. So if you don't do it, and sometimes pip count can be very counterintuitive. Sometimes you just look at the position and you have really the feeling that you're ahead in the race, and actually you're late. You're not. So you might be tempted of flying away, while actually you should be maybe taking the stand. So for me, pip count, it's not something I'm good at. I'm very slow at pip counting, but I know it can be the definite criteria for taking the decision. I don't know how others feel about this.
I think that pip count gives you confidence in what's going on in the position. So you cannot really avoid getting the pip counting because it'll tell you what's going on much more than only the intuition. While the match equity, well, welcome to the club.
It's a real problem because it's rude to count pips when I play against my friends that are not very good players. They think that they're saying, why do you take so much time to play the game? And I don't want to be this arrogant guy that thinks in numbers. I want to play, fast.
And I think if you're just playing with your friends, maybe it's totally fine that you're not playing your A game. That is a different story, I believe. But if you play a real match, I kind of agree that being able to count the pips, that is just necessary, and you can do it more or less depending on your style and what works for you. But you need to be able to do it when you really need to do it. That's a skill that you're going to need. As far as match equity table, you don't have to know the match equity table, but you have to know, like Ola mentioned, that maybe Tim doesn't know precisely the match equity at some specific score. That is not super important, but you have to know how to change your game as a consequence of that match equity. Then it doesn't matter if you know the match equity per se. So basically, for example, in Dirk Schieman's new book, you can read some quick tips for adapting to the different match scores. So you can get a long way with knowing the most important things and not memorizing a table. That's a pretty bad use of your time anyway, to memorize the table. What you need to do is learn how to change your game as a consequence of the table.
I think that there's also another point that you made is you asked us when, not what to do, but actually when to do it. And I think a very important thing there is, for myself, I've been playing for a lot of years, and in some periods I've been playing a lot and practicing a lot, and at other times I've been playing like once per 2 months. But the thing that I use is when I see an error and I'm not able to explain why I did it, like I didn't see it, I didn't analyze it correctly. If it's like, okay, this is just a random error, I cannot explain it at all, then it means that my concept of the position is not good enough. I need new tools to be able to analyze it. So if you get into that situation very often where there's no real explanation, it's too difficult, or it feels like it's too random, then it means that you don't understand it good enough and you need to apply new tools. I think that works for most people, actually. And this is also why it's the worst place to be, where you think you're doing everything right, but clearly you're making a lot of mistakes. So that's when you need to learn new stuff.
Thank you. I guess it's more for a philosophical question of like, how would I enjoy a hobby? By being innocent or by being an expert and a technician? That's it.
Yeah, I guess it's up to you, basically. Is it important to you to be one of the best players in the world, or is it just to win a few games against your friends for a glass of beer? So I guess you need to know that to answer those questions.
Thank you.